Good evening, class. Good evening, student. I welcome you all in our last session of income tax class. And today we will be discussing the provision of computation of total income and tax liability. And today we will solve all the test your knowledge questions. So that will give you a flashback, a recap, a kind of all provisions when it comes together, how to solve it in the examination. In the examination, the descriptive question number 1 is generally from computation of total income and tax liability. So we will practice some those questions which has been given in your study material under this chapter. So once again, I welcome you all in this class. Asta is having a query as usual. So in point number 15G, it can't be filled if exceeded basic exemption limit, provided the income in respect of 192A, 3, etc. to be added. Then basic exemption limit to be seen or before adding these N. So please see the study. Okay, so formula 15G cannot be filled after including these income. Okay, the answer of your first query. And so please see the study mat at page number 8.39. मैंने study mat निकाल लिया था. About TRP and regular dealing. So point number 3, TRP means any individual other than any officer of a scheduled bank with which the assessee maintain a current account or has other regular dealing. So any person with whom you are having a regular dealing, like if you are a trader, you purchase certain goods from a supplier. So that person cannot be your TRP because in that situation, your dealings, your transaction would not be confidential. Okay. Soumya, good evening. Shagupta, good evening. Tanuj, good evening. Jainder is vested right, page 9.22. 9.22, page number, let me see. You're asking regarding in which point you are asking this? Page number 9.22. What was your query? Vested right page. What are you asking? Vested right, you are just writing it down, page number 9.22 regarding accident insurance policy. Okay, this one I guess you are asking. In respect of accident insurance policy, in terms perquisite applies to only such sum in regard to which there was an obligation on the part of the employer to pay and a vested right on the part of the employee. So all the other rights with employee, all the benefits with employee, but only the part of payment, the insurance policy payment amount, right, liabilities upon the employer. That was the meaning of this line. Vested right, all the rights, the benefits. Okay. Good evening, Sahil Kumar. Good evening, Mr. M.A. Okay. So I believe you must have gone through with all the provision. So the surcharge provision, the basic concept provision, the capital gain, tax rates, I have requested you that you should revise those provisions. So it would be really easy for all of us to understand the questions of computation of total income and tax liability. So we will solve all these questions one by one. Before that, the most important thought for the day. Technically, it's not thought for the day. I believe this is the thought for the life for every one of us. And if you will understand this, you will understand that how correctly it is said. That if something is important to you, if something is important to you, you will find a way to get there, to achieve there, if that thing is important for you. And if it is not, you will find an excuse. How correctly it has been said. So if you want to be a CA, there could be some struggle, problems, etc. There would be different kind of struggle. But you will find a way. If you want to achieve that target, if you want to be a chartered accountant, you will find a way. You will do extra effort, you will do anything, and you will get there. And if you don't want to be there, if you do not want to do that, if you don't want to be a chartered accountant, then whatever effort, whether it's done by your parents, relative, friends, does not matter. You will find an excuse for not doing that. So it's so beautifully and correctly said. And I believe for the last session, this is the kind of thought I would like to share with you. So please, CA is very important to you. And you definitely have to find a way to be a chartered accountant. Okay? So all the best to all of you. Let's moving on to the questions one by one. So first question comes first, of course, and the first question is regarding the calculation of tax liability. Mr. M.A. wants to say something. You raised your hand, Mr. M.A. You want to ask something? Nothing. Okay, not a problem. Chalo. So question number one is compute the tax liability. Compute the tax liability of Mr. Gupta, age 61 year, under default tax regime. So to solve any question in which you have to calculate the tax liability or you need to calculate the total income, it is very important to find out by which method, by which regime you have to go for it. So please mark in your question, even in the examination, that which kind of regime we do need to follow. Let me tell you one thing before starting the class. If a question asks that kindly calculate total income as per default tax regime, so please just calculate the total income as per default tax regime. You do not need to calculate the tax liability without asking. That will consume your time. So please do not do this thing. If the question asks you to calculate the tax as per option shifting out of the default tax regime, if you opt out of section 115 BAC, then please calculate just total income. So technically I'm saying that if there is not required to calculate tax in the question, do not calculate the tax. Okay. If the question asks you calculate total income and tax liability with default tax regime and opting out of tax regime, then just calculate the total income and tax liability as the question required. Do not give the answer of most beneficial tax liability case. Do not suggest that this option is best until it has been asked. Kindly do not answer those things which has not been asked in the question. Now the kind of question I believe that is going to be asked in the examination would be calculate tax which is most beneficial for the purpose of the assessee. So if the question asks you that calculate tax which is most beneficial to the assessee or calculate the tax in a way to minimize his tax liability, etc. In that means you have to calculate tax like this. You have to calculate tax as per default tax regime. This is tax as per default tax regime. We can name it. Suppose it is tax 1. Then you have to calculate tax as per normal provision of tax. Under normal provision of tax, you have to calculate tax twice. One as per option opting out default tax regime, or we can say it's as per optional tax regime. So this is shifting opting out under section 115 BAC. So you have to calculate tax accordingly. Suppose the name is tax 2, and then you have to apply the AMT provision also. Tax as per AMT. Now remember, AMT would be applicable in case of individual, HUF, AOP, BOI, and AJP. When your ATI is exceeding 20 lakh. In case of partnership firm, LLP, whatever is your ATI, AMT will always apply. So in case of individual, HUF, AOP, BOI, AJP, it would be applicable if your ATI is exceeding 20 lakh. Then you need to calculate the AMT tax. In case of partnership firm and LLP, you have to calculate AMT automatically. Whatever is the ATI does not matter. So this would be named as tax 3. Now you had 3 total income as per default tax regime, then total income as per optional tax regime, and adjusted total income as per AMT provision. Now we have calculated the tax. Now tax 2 and tax 3, we have to select the higher one. Out of this, we have to select the higher one. Suppose the name is tax 4. This tax 4 and the tax 1 need to be compared at last. And whatever is the lower is going to be my final tax liability. This final tax liability would be my tax liability and the corresponding income. If the lower is income tax as per default tax regime, then this income would be called my total income. If the lower is as per AMT provision, the ATI would be regarded as total income. If the lower is as per optional tax regime, the corresponding income would be regarded as your total income. Understood? If the AMT tax we are paying, suppose the lower is AMT tax, then the normal tax as per optional tax regime less AMT tax, or we can say, sorry, AMT tax less optional tax regime tax, the difference would be your AMT credit. This we have discussed in the last class also. I am just trying to explain that what is the requirement of question. On the basis of that requirement, please find your answer. If there is no requirement in the question to calculate the tax, please do not calculate the tax liability. Okay. So let's continue with the question number 1. And it says compute the tax liability of Mr. Gupta, age 61 years. So in the question, it is utmost important to find out the first thing, which regime you had to follow and what is the requirement of question. The question is asking about the tax liability. And I have told you multiple times, student, please remember, please, it's a request from my side to all of you. Whenever there is the requirement of calculation of tax liability, please follow this format. First of all, we will calculate the tax. Then we will deduct the rebate, if applicable, of course. Then we will add the surcharge, if applicable. And then there is cess required. So please always follow it. Always write it down this format, whether rebate is applicable or not. But please write it down. Okay. So default tax regime having total income of 1 crore 2 lakh rupees. For the assessment year 25-26. Assume that his total income comprises of salary income, income from house property, and interest on fixed deposit. Can anyone tell me why this information is relevant, that this total income is only including salary income, house property income, and interest on fixed deposit? What is the relevance of this income? In my opinion, this information is relevant for 2 purposes. Can you tell me the both of these 2 purposes for which this information has been given in the question? Any one of you? Somebody answered. Tanu is saying surcharge. One of the reason is surcharge, of course. And what is the second reason? Sahil Kumar also saying surcharge. One of the reason is surcharge. Absolutely right. What is the second reason? Yes, Tanu, very good. And for a special rate of income, they wants to tell you that there is no capital gain, there is no casual income. Correct, somewhere. You are also absolutely right. Neeraj Patel is saying marginally. No, it does not. Marginally would be applicable, a different thing. But this information is relevant, Neeraj, because of they need to tell you that this income does not comprise a special rate of income. So tax need to be calculated as per the slab rate, and the surcharge rate would be as per normal, because if the STCG 111A or 112A long term or 112 is included, then surcharge rate would be differ. Yes, Miss P, correct answer. Ishan is also giving the correct answer. Set of introduction, no, that was not the reason, Harshada. Mohammed Farhan is saying standard deduction. No, that was not the reason. So the basic reason was they just want to explain you. They just want to tell you that please apply the slab rate, and surcharge would be applied only on the basis of slab rate of income. So now we will calculate the income. And now please remember one more thing. Whenever there's a question when the total income has been given slightly exceeding the amount up to which either there is no surcharge or up to increment of that limit up to which there is a change of rate of surcharge. So if the total income has been given in the question in which that total income is slightly increased or slightly exceed the amount of income up to there is no surcharge, or the amount of income from which the surcharge rate generally changed. So because the income has been given 1 crore 2 lakh rupees. So the surcharge rate which has been changed is up to rupees 1 crore. So up to 1 crore, the surcharge rate is different. And after 1 crore, the surcharge rate is different. So when there is this kind of income has been given in the question, then you have to apply the marginal relief concept also. So now we will calculate the tax by applying the marginal relief concept. Pooja was also given the correct answer. Anil was also gave the correct answer. Okay, so let's move on to the calculation part. Okay, today we will solve a lot of questions, so you would be able to understand the examination, what kind of question would be there and how to solve them. Okay, so the question number 1, and there was a calculation of income whenever there is a marginal relief concept. So this is particulars. Then we need to solve the income which has been given in question and tax. So the question was regarding Mr. A, so and so. Directly we can write it down. The income which has been given in the question is 1 crore 2 lakh rupees. And we have to solve it with the default tax regime. So what we need to do, we have to calculate the tax upon 1 crore 2 lakh rupees as per the slab rate. Up to 3 lakh, there is no tax. Then from 4 lakh to 7 lakh, as on. So if you will calculate the tax liability would be 275,000. And what should be the surcharge rate? Because the income is slightly exceeding the 1 crore. The surcharge would be 15% need to be applied on this. That would be 412,500. So my total tax, including surcharge, would be 3162,500. Clear? Cess would be applied at the end. Now, for the purpose of finding out the marginal relief, now we need to take that income. In the second step, we have to take that income as total income up to which either there is no surcharge or the surcharge rate was different. So before 1 crore 2 lakh rupees up to rupees 1 crore, the surcharge rate is different from this rate. So we need to take that income from which the surcharge rate has been changed. So up to rupees 1 crore, if there would be income, the tax liability as per default tax system is going to be this. Now the surcharge would be 10% on this, 2,69,000. Total tax liability would be 2,959,000. So the third step is just to calculate the difference. The difference of income and the difference of tax. So you can see the difference of income is just 2 lakh rupees. The income has been increased by only 2 lakh rupees. And the amount of tax which has been increased due to this income increment would be 2,03,500 rupees. So tax is more than the increment of income. So this is the concept in which marginally needs to be applicable. How we will find out the marginally? You need to reduce the tax from the difference of income need to be reduced from the difference of tax. So now 3,500 would be your marginal relief. This 3,500 rupees needs to be reduced from your earlier tax. So from 3162500, we have to reduce 3,500 as marginally. The balance would be 3,159,000. And now cess would be applicable on this at the rate 4%. 126,360. So 328,5,360 would be your answer for the purpose of calculation of tax. Now suppose in this question, if the question has been asked like this, if the question asked just this, calculate marginally, that's it. They are not asking you to calculate the tax liability. So my answer would be end over here. Please do not do this step. If the question asks you to calculate only marginally, then listen very carefully. Your answer would be end over it. Do not be over smart, because this over smartness will cost you a lot. First thing, you will consume your more time for giving something which the question does not require. So you would have less time for solving other question. And the second and most important thing, our examiner, the person who is going to check your copies, is just like a client. They are just like a client for you. And you are giving those answers, those even they are not asking. Suppose what? I am in a practicing chartered accountant. Suppose my client comes to me and he just asked about me the salary tax. He asked me, I have this much salary. Sir, kindly help me. What should be the tax on this? I asked him, do you have any other income? He said, no, I just have only salary income. So I start telling him this is the tax on salary. And suppose if you have capital gain income, this would be the kind of calculation we have to do. If you have PGBP income, if you have interest income, then that would be the tax liability in this case. So what he will think? He will think how free this CA is. Why he is telling me what I even didn't ask. So I am consuming my time upon him. And he is thinking that I am giving him wrong impression. So please do not ever give those answers which is not required by the question, even you know the answer. Please follow this rule in your examination. Okay. Anil is saying, sir, one of the participants said the same regarding marginal leave, and you just said no. I have said no because marginal leave we calculated because income is exceeding 1 crore 2 lakh. I was asking what is the impact of this thing that the question is giving you, that it is only a salary income, house property, and other source. So that does not have any effect on the marginally. If it is income of capital gain, still we need to calculate maybe marginally. So that was not the reason for which I have answered that student. Mr. M is asking, how did you calculate 26,90,000 as per the slab rate under default tax regime, Mr. M? That's why I asked you that please revise chapter number 1 before solving this question. So this is we have already done at the time when we have calculated this under basic concept chapter. Okay, students. So go to the basic rates, Mr. M, and then you will find out how we calculated this 26,90,000. Okay. Moving on to question number 2. Now from this question, you can find it out what kind of question could be asked in the examination. Question number 2 is comprises of residential status also. So Miss Charlie, an American national, got married to Mr. Radhe in India. In USA, on 2nd March 2024 and came to India first time on 16th March 2020. That was previous year 23-24. Okay. She left for USA on 19 September 24. She returned to India again on 27 March 25. While in India, she had purchased a showroom in Mumbai on 30th April 2024, which was leased out to a company on a rent of 25,000 per month from 1st May 2024. She had taken loan from a bank for purchase of this showroom and on which bank had charged interest of 97,500 up to 31st March 2025. She had received the following cash gifts from her relatives and friends during this financial year. 51,000 from parents of husband. So parents of husband is relative definition covered or not covered? From married sister of husband. So are these covered under the definition of relative, under income from other source or not? The answer is yes. From two very close friend of her husband, 1,51,000 and 21,000. So this was the information. And now the question, determine her residential status and compute the total income chargeable to tax, along with the amount of tax liability on such income for assessment year 25-26. If she opts out of default tax regime under section 115 PAC. So first of all, we will solve this part. Part B is saying, would her residential status undergo any change? Assuming that she is a person of Indian origin and her total income from Indian source is 18 lakh rupees and she is not liable to tax in USA. So first of all, we will solve this point A. For the purpose of solving this question, we have to understand the residential status of Miss Charlie. Then now she is of course Mrs. So we have to find out the status of Charlie to find out the tax liability, etc. So according to the question, she came to India on 16th March 2024. So this is our financial year 23-24 and this financial year she was in India only from 16th March till 31st of March. So how many days she was in India in financial year 23-24? So you can see from 16 till 31. So that would be in India for 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That means 16 days she was in India. In our financial year, for the purpose of finding out her residential status, she was in India from April till September. She came on 16th March and she was in India till 19 September 24. So April 30 days, May, June, July, August, September. And she came back on India again on 27 March 25. So from 27th March till 31st March. For next 5 days also she was in India. That was 177 days she was in India. She was not an Indian citizen, not a person of Indian origin. And she comes to visit India. So either both condition would be applicable or only one condition, that basic condition. First one is more than equal to 182 days in India in previous year, or second one is more than equal to 60 days in India in previous year plus more than equal to 365 days in 4 preceding previous year in India. So can you tell me either both condition applicable or it is a special condition case? So only first condition would be applicable. Tanu is saying any one condition. Why Tanu? Why one condition? Which exception she fulfill? Please tell me. Pooja is saying both. Ishan is saying both because she is not a citizen and she is not a even person of Indian origin for A point. For the purpose of point number B, the question said that would if she would be a person of Indian origin. But we are still solving point number A. So there is no point of view for applicability of specific condition. Shagufta also saying one condition. Why Shagufta? Why? The special condition is applicable in first case if you are a citizen of India and went outside India for employment etc. purpose. Then case of exception applicable. If you are a citizen of India or person of Indian origin and comes to visit India, then a special condition. But she is not a citizen, not she is a person of Indian origin. So why why only one condition is applicable? Both condition is going to be applicable. And she is not satisfying condition number one because she is in India only for 177 days. She is satisfying 60-day condition of second point. But she does not satisfy the 365 days condition of the second point. So because she is not satisfying any of these conditions, she would be a non-resident. I hope it's clear. And because she is a non-resident, so only two income is going to be taxable in her hand. One is which is arise or deemed to arise in India, or which is received or deemed to received in India. As per the information given, she has let out a property in Mumbai from 1st May 2024 at the rate 25,000 rupees per month. So that would be his income from house property. Now we will calculate income from house property in the hands of Charlie for assessment year 25-26. So for that purpose, we have to calculate the GAV. We do not have given any information, so that technically rent value is going to be your GAV. That is 2,75,000. That would be your, of course, annual value. We need to deduct the 30% statutory or standard deduction. That would be 82,500. So her income from house property value 192,500. But interest also she has paid to the bank. And in the question, it has been specifically mentioned that was current year interest. So the net income would be 95,000 rupees from income from house property. Now she has received some gifts also. So there were two gifts from her relative. One is from her husband's parents and one is from her husband's sister. So those are not going to be taxable. Those are technically exempted. But the gift received from husband's friend, that was 1,51,000 and 21,000. That 1,72,000 is going to be income from other source. If we add these two income, that would be our gross total income, and it is 2,67,000 rupees. There is no deduction in the question. So can you calculate the tax for me in this case? Kindly calculate the final tax liability in this question under optional tax regime. So it will not take more than 1 minute for all of you to calculate the tax liability after including cess. So what would be your correct answer of the tax liability in this case? Final tax liability after rounding off, etc. Tanu is saying she is not a POIO. Tanu, if she is a POIO, then she needs to fulfill one condition. If that person is not a POIO, not a citizen, then they needs to fulfill both conditions. Tanu has given the answer 880 rupees. Okay. Ishan is saying 880 and rebate apply. I want the final answer, Ishan. What does that means? 880 and rebate apply. So what would be the final answer after rebate, surcharge, whatever it is? I need the final reply. I asked you that please calculate tax in this format: tax minus rebate plus surcharge plus cess, whatever it is, round off, multiple of 10. I need this answer after rounding off multiple of 10. Ishan is saying nil because of rebate. Okay. Anu is saying rebate is not applicable because she is a not resident. What about this, Ishan? Does rebate applicable for non-resident? You are giving rebate to a non-resident. That's why I ask, these kind of silly mistake. That's going to be cost you a lot in the examination. Rebates are only applicable for individual and resident. Why you are giving rebate to a non-resident, Ishan? If that kind of mistake you will do in examination, and when you will come back to home and you will see what kind of mistake I have done, that is going to hurt you a lot. Okay. Yes, the correct answer is 880. There would not be any rebate. Why? Because she is a non-resident. Well done. Okay, those have given the correct answer. Well done. And now the second part. The second part was saying, would her residential status undergo any change? Assuming that she is a person of Indian origin and her total income from Indian source is 18 lakh rupees and she is not liable to tax in US. Now it is a very interesting question. Now you can see, because she is a person of Indian origin in point number B, and her income from Indian source is 18 lakh, and she came to visit India, and there is no tax in USA. So now you will see, because she has come to India only for visit and she is a person of Indian origin. So only first condition needs to be applicable, 182 days in India. That 60 days condition and 365 would not be applicable. But instead of this condition, a new condition would be applicable. That was for those having income more than 15 lakh or a citizen or POIO comes to visit India, then there would be a separate condition. If they are in India for 120 days or more and more than 365 days in 4 preceding previous year, they would be regarded as resident. Again, she stayed in India for 177 days. This condition fulfilled, but in the last 4 years, still she is only in 16 days in India. So this condition has not been fulfilled. Now I am going to ask you a question. She is not satisfying this condition. She is not satisfying this condition of section 6.1. But is she fall under section 6.1a? Can she be treated as deemed resident? Kindly answer yes or no. These are the conditions. She is a person of Indian origin, 18 lakh rupees income from Indian sources, came to visit India, and no tax in USA. So can we regarded her as deemed resident or not? Pooja is saying no. Why Pooja? Why no? Tanu is saying deemed resident. Ishan is saying no, and he has given me the correct answer also, the reason also. Well done, Ishan. Almas also give the correct answer. Nidhi is saying yes. No, Nidhi, wrong answer. She cannot be treated as a deemed resident because deemed resident condition is only applicable for citizen, not for POI. So that's the tricky thing in section 6(1)(a). 6(1) is applicable if you are a citizen of India. So because she is not a citizen of India, so she cannot take the benefit of section 6(1)(a). She would still be regarded as a non-resident in this case. I hope it's clear. It's a very good question of residential status. So you have seen the first question was regarding the basic concept provision. The question number 2 is residential status question. Now the real questions are coming. Those are kind of question in which you have to calculate a lot of kind of income in a single question. And that, in my opinion, that would be maybe for PGBP, majority part would be from PGBP income, or that could be a salary income, in which there could be capital gain also, house property also, deductions point also, set off, clubbing, etc. could also be the part of that question. So the third question is going to be that kind of questions. Dr. Niranjan, a resident individual, age 60 years, is running a clinic. Now understand, age 60 years, so that's a question of senior citizen and who's a resident also. So you can mark these kind of information in the question. So that will impact your calculation of tax, deduction, etc. Is running a clinic in Surat. Her income expenditure account for the year ending 31st March 25 is under. Okay. Let me see what is the requirement of question first. These are the information like additional information. We will go through these things, but I just want to know what I have to calculate in this question. So the good thing, from the above, compute the total income only of Srimati Niranjana for the assessment year 25-26 under the default tax regime and optional tax regime both. So they are not asking you to calculate tax. They just want you to calculate your total income. Okay, if I'll ask you a question, do we need to calculate the AMT also in this question? No, because they have clearly asked you that please calculate your income as per default tax regime and optional tax regime. They did not ask you to calculate tax as per most beneficial to the assessee. Or if the question is specifically said that please calculate ATI as per AMT, then only we are going to calculate the ATI as per AMT provision. Okay. So we just need to calculate the total income via both methods. For that, we have to solve the question. The net profit has been given in question 4,40,400. So I have written down over here 4,40,400. That's a PGBP question. So we will start from the income side. If there is any income which should not be the part of my business, that is going to be disallowed. That is going to be reduced. So from income part, we can see consultation and medical charges, of course, the part of our doctor. So that would be the part of my profit. That will remain the part of my profit. Income tax refund. Principal amount 5,000. Interest 450. So how, and total is 5,450. So how much I should reduce from net profit? Do I need to reduce 5,000 or 450 or 5,450? What should be the reduction part from my business profit? Pooja is saying 5450. निधि saying 880 कैसे आया सर? निधि कैलकुलेट कर आया. सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन था. 2,67,000 की इनकम पर ऑप्शनल टैक्स रिजिम से टैक्स निकालना है. ये कैसे सिखाऊंगा? इतनी सिंपल चीज है. 850 रुपीज आएगा उस पर टैक्स निधि 267 पर. ओके, उस पर सेस जोड़ेंगे आप. 34 रुपीज का सेस आएगा. उसे जोड़ के जब राउंड ऑफ करेंगे तो 880 ही तो आए. ओके, तनु इज सेइंग सर, if any person came to India, they need to fulfill any one condition of basic condition. ना तनु, you are taking it wrong. अगर कोई भी इंडिविजुअल इंडिया में विजिट के लिए आता है, विजिट के लिए, ध्यान से सुनो, विजिट के लिए आता है, ओके, और अगर वो इंडियन सिटीजन है या पीओआईयू है इंडिया, तो सिर्फ बेसिक कंडीशन 1 देखी जाएगी. अगर वो सिटीजन भी नहीं है, पीओआई भी नहीं है, तो फिर दोनों कंडीशन चेक की जाएंगी. ओके ओके, 5450 of course. So full value 5450, it's going to be reduced from my net profit. Out of this 5450, this interest part is going to be my income from other source. So you can also write it down in your question paper like this. So when you need to calculate total income, you are not going to miss this information. Dividend from unit of UTI. Of course, income from other source, we have to reduce it. This is going to be my, again, income from other source. Winning from TV, game, etc. Net of TDS 35,000. So TDS of 15,000 has been deducted. Now you can see it has been written gross. The income has been given gross. That means no TDS has been deducted. If the income on which TDS liability is there, and if it has been written net, that means TDS has already been deducted. So that is my casual income. And we will gross it. This is net, we will gross it, and gross it, it would be 50,000. Before TDS, it would be 50,000. So under income from other source, we will include 50,000. In PGBP, we'll reduce 35,000. Rent is 27,000. Income from house property going to reduced. Okay. Now from expenses, we will see that is there any kind of expenses which should not be the part of my business expenditure. Medicine consumed, of course, business, staff salary, clinic consumable, rent paid, administrative expenditure. So before that, let me tell you, we are solving this net profit as per default tax regime. We are solving it as per default tax regime. Now, amount paid to scientific research approved on section 35. So section 35 deduction is not allowed under default tax regime. So you have claimed it, but under default tax regime, this cannot be allowed. So this is going to be added back because it's a default tax regime. Now under rent paid, 30,000 paid by check towards rent for her residential house. So that's a personal expenditure. That is going to be added back. After that, clinic equipments on which we have to calculate the depreciation accordingly. So clinic WDB is 5 lakh rupees, 15% depreciation would be 75,000. This is acquired on 7 December. So half rate is going to be applicable on this value. So that would come 15,000. So total depreciation would be 90,000. Need to be reduced. A question having more information. She received, rent received relates to residential house property at Surat. Gross value 27,000. Municipal taxes 2,000 paid in December 24 has been included in administrative expenditure of business. So this is the expenditure of house property. So it needs to be disallowed from business expenditure because it has been included in administrative expenditure. She received salary of 7,500 per month. That's her salary income. We will consider it in salary head. Availed a loan of this much amount for higher education of daughter. She repaid principal of this one. This is for education loan under section 80E. 1 lakh is tuition fees, not in the nature of development fee. This is section 80C. An amount of 28,000 has been also paid via check for medical insurance 80D. So there is no information regarding the PGBP now. So our PGBP income as per income tax would be now, if we calculated, it would be 45450. Clear? The salary income she was receiving is 90,000 rupees, 7,500 rupees per month, out of which 75,000 is standard deduction under default tax regime we can take. So that would be my salary income, 25,000. Clear? Income from house property, rent has been given in the question, 27,000. You can see this. Out of this, the municipal taxes of 2,000, which has been included in administrative expenditure, need to be reduced first, and then 30% deduction. The remaining would be 17,500. This is suppose A. This is suppose my B income. This is suppose my C. And now income from other source. That is D part. So income from other source was interest, 450 rupees in the refund. Dividend, 10,500 gross value. 35,000 was winning value after deducting TDS of 15,000. So before it, it would be 35,000. So total income from other source would be 60,950 rupees. Let me write it down on the main sheet. So after the calculation, my PGBP was 454,450. Clear? Salary was 25,000. Income from house property is 17,500 and income from other source would be 60,900. This total would be 547900. Now, because we are under default tax regime, so deduction under section 80C-80U not available. Only 3 deductions are available. That is 80CCD2, which is not in this question. Then that Agniveer Yojana, not in that question. And then section 80JJ. So there would not be any deduction applicable. This is my total income as per default tax regime, which has been asked by the question. Now we will solve the optional tax regime total income. So when you are going to solve optional tax regime question, please take total income as per default tax regime. And it was 547900. Under PGBP head, under default tax regime, the scientific research expenditure under section 35 not allowed. But under optional tax regime, it is allowed. So that amount of 1,50,000, what we disallowed under default tax regime, now need to be allowed. Then the difference is standard deduction of salary. Under optional tax regime, the standard deduction is 50,000, which was 75,000 under default tax regime. So the extra 25,000, whatever we have claimed, needs to be adjusted. So after this, now my gross total income would be 4,22,900. Now the deduction part. There was a tuition fees 80C, which has been given in question. So up to 150 we can claim this deduction, but that was 1 lakh, so we will claim 1 lakh. 80D, medical insurance, because she's a senior citizen. So full 28,000 can be claimed as a medical insurance premium expenditure. If she would not have attained the age of 60 years, then maximum 25,000 we could claim. Then education loan 80, the full interest part we can claim as a deduction. So 3 deduction we can claim, and after that my total income would be 239900. Now in this question, if you will see, an important point was 80GG deduction we did not claim. Why the 80GG deduction is applicable, you have to go through and you understand this point number 1. Rent paid includes 30,000 by check towards her residential house in Surat. So she is paying rent for her residential accommodation, and for that purpose she can claim 80GG deduction. But because she has already a house in Surat which has been let out, you can see the third information say she received relates to residential house. The rent received was relating to residential house situated in Surat. So the 80GG one condition is this, that you should not already have a house in your name or in the name of your spouse or minor child or HUF in the city you reside. So because she has already had a house in the same city, so you cannot claim deduction of 80GG in this situation. I hope you understand this now. Salary 15,000. Just let me see. Salary 7,500 rupees per month है ना, 15,000 कहाँ पढ़ रहे हो बच्चों तुम? Just let me see. So salary was 7,500. For 12 months, it would be 90,000. Okay. In my calculation, 15,000. Where it is 15,000. It is 25,000 I have taken over here salary. Where it is 15,000, it's again 25,000. I think you must have any confusion. So that was the calculation of total income under the both regime. Moving on to question number 4. Now question number 4, Miss Purvi, age 55 year, is a chartered accountant in practice. Mrs. Purvi, age 55 year, is a chartered accountant in practice. She maintains her accounts on cash basis. Okay, it's an important information. Her income and expenditure account for the year ended on 31st March 25 read as follows. Just a second, 90 minus 75,000. Yes, it should be 15,000. Correct. Just a second. Let me correct it. Yes, it's 15,000. Correct. I have wrongly written it. But total is correct. Okay, fine. The total has been included after considering it 15,000. This is after including 15,000. Okay. Next is question number 2. Question number 4. So the information regarding her business has been given in the question. This is a question similar to question number 3. There are multiple information has been given in the question, and now you can see the difference is this. Compute the total income and tax payable by Mrs. Poovey for the assessment year 25-26 in a most beneficial manner. And when the question asks you to calculate the tax as per most beneficial manner, then that AMT concept could also play a very important role. So one by one, we will solve each and every information which has been given in the question. This is question number 4. This is our net profit which has been given in the question. 928224. So, of course, the income earned via audit, taxation service, consultancy is my business income. So, no need to reduce them. Dividend on shares of X Limited, an Indian company, gross 10,524. So, this is going to be my income from other source. Need to be reduced. Income from UTI gross, income from other source, need to be reduced. Honorarium received from various institutions for valuation of answer papers, income from other source, need to be reduced. Rent received from residential flat let out, income from house property, need to be reduced. So these 4 things. First of all, we are going to reduce dividend, UTI, 15,800, 85,600. Now coming on to the expenditure side, salary to staff, stipend, incentive, office rent, printing, meetings, seminar and conferences, all are expenditure related to my profession. But purchase of car should not be the part of my P&L. Depreciation should be here. So this is going to be add back, and the depreciation on this needs to be reduced. Now repair, maintenance and petrol of car, of course, going to be reduced. Traveling expenditure, of course. Municipal tax of paid in respect of house property. This is expenditure of income from house property. It should be added back. So we will reduce this. We are solving as per default tax regime. Car purchase value need to be added back, and that municipal taxes. Clear? Depreciation on car, that at the rate of 15% we will calculate. So need to reduce 12,000. Allowable rent of depreciation of car aa gaya. Rate of depreciation. Value of benefit received from clients during the course of profession is 10,500. So she received some benefit also from her client during her professional services. So that is my business income, needs to add back to my PGBP. Incentive paid to articles, etc. Of course, the part of expenditure, not an issue. Repair and maintenance of car include 2,000 for the period of 1st October 24 till 30th September 25. We are preparing financial statement or the net profit from 1st April 24 till 31st March 25. But now there are some part of this expenditure belongs to the next financial year. That is kind of a prepaid expenditure. But that was a point in which it was saying that she maintains books of account on cash system of accounting. So whatever you will pay, even for future also, that is going to be considered as expenditure of the current year. So nothing to do with this information, that is completely allowed. Now salary includes 30,000 to a computer scientist specialist in cash for assisting Purvi in one professional assignment. If you are paying salary more than 10,000 in cash, that is going to be disallowed. Next is traveling expenditure includes expenditure incurred on a foreign tour of 32,000, which was within the RBI norms. So of course, if it is as per RBI norms, then we cannot disallow it. Medical insurance premium on the health of dependent, that is part of 80D. Investment amount of 10,000 National Savings Certificate, 80C. She has paid 70,000 towards advance tax. So that is going to be reduced from your total tax liability. So that was the information of her PGBP income. The total would be, suppose it's A, 920,200. Now income from house property calculation is very easy. 85,600. 3,000 was municipal tax. 82,600. 30% deduction. 24780. After that, house property income would be 57,820. Income from other source 10,524, 7,600, and 15,800. That would be 3,392. So if I'll combine all these incomes together, A, B, and C, that would be 10,11,944. No deductions are there, which is allowed under default tax regime. So that would be my total income, 10,11,944. Now we will take this income to calculate under optional tax regime. You can calculate the tax on it. So the tax would be 113082. Then 4% cess would be there. So it is not as per default tax regime. Tax would be 53,863 would be the tax. No rebate is applicable. No surcharge is applicable. This is including cess. The tax would be 51,791. The 4% cess would be 2,072. So this would be your tax liability. Now the advance tax has been paid 70,000. And because we received a dividend and it is exceeding 5,000 rupees, so TDS must have been deducted on that dividend at the rate of 10%. So that was 10,524. So TDS must be 1052. In the same way, income on units, TDS must have been deducted at the rate of 10% on it. So that would be 760 rupees. After deducting all of this, there would be our refund value is 949, which is as per rounding off 17,950 rupees. That is our refund. It is not a tax liability. That is the excess payment of tax paid by the assessor. Now, if we'll calculate the income, total income, as per optional tax regime, we will take this income 10,11,944, and there is no other income going to be reduced, etc. NSC is a deduction. This would be my GTI. Deduction section 80C, 10,000 rupees NSC. A medical insurance has been paid, but the medical insurance has been paid for brother, which does not include for the purpose of, which is not independent, which is not included for the purpose of the definition, and the payment for medical insurance for son is in cash. So the payment of medical insurance premium under section 80D in cash is also not allowed. So no deduction for 80D. The amount of total income would be now this much. And we have to calculate tax on this. The tax on this would be 113082. 4% cess, 4523. Total is 117605. Out of this 70,000 advance tax, 1052 TDS and 760 TDS need to be reduced. So the final position would be, in this case, assessee needs to pay, after rounding off, the tax liability is 45,790. So he has to pay this much amount of tax to the income tax department. Now you can see the AMT provision we need to check in this example. Why? Because we have to calculate tax as most beneficial to the assessee. For the purpose of AMT provision, we need to take the total income as per normal provision, 10 lakh 1944. And we need to add back certain specific deduction, 80 QQB, RRB, 10AA, 35 AD, which is not being given in question. So this would become my ATI. And you can see because the ATI is less than 20 lakh, so AMT concept does not applicable. Now we have to calculate the tax which is most beneficial to the assessee, taking into account that tax 1, and this is my tax number 2. And you will see the lowest is the correct answer. So which is most beneficial? This. In this case, 17,950 is going to be the refund in the hands of the assessor. So that would be the final answer. That would be my final or most beneficial tax liability. So assessee needs to pay tax under default tax regime. That is most beneficial in this question. I hope it's clear. Look, these question is very, very important for your practice. When you practice these kind of question in which all kinds of provisions has been included. So that is going to revise you each and every concept. You might be solving in this question, you might be experiencing that what kind of connections are there. Like the TDS provision, we have to remember because we have to reduce certain amount of TDS in this question. Because in case of dividend, etc., TDS need to be applied automatically. So very, very important things need to be remembered in these cases. Everything could be very important. Every information is very vital for solving the question of those questions in which the calculation of total income and tax need to be done. So I guess there's a break time, and after a break, we will resume with more questions. So Ashok sir, can we go for a small break? believe you must have your tea, coffee, etc. Tanu is asking, sir, in book answer are given in very detailed manner, but in exam we need not to give this explanation. In the book, everything is going to be explained to you in very detailed manner, so every student can understand how the figure has been derived, etc. But of course, in the examination, you do not need to show this kind of explanation. Just a second. Next is Pooja is asking, sir, if in question it is asked that to calculate total income and tax liability as per most beneficial manner. In normal tax regime, 4480 provision is also applicable. Then how to solve with this? No. If the question asks you to solve as per presumptive taxation also, then only apply that concept. Otherwise, it would be very difficult because you have the option to apply that provision, but you should not apply until the question asked to you. Like in this question, you can see the question we are solving, that is regarding for professional purpose. In that case, 44 ADA needs to be applicable. So I guess in the examination, 44 AD or ADA should not apply until the question asked it for you. Next question we are going to solve. I'm suffering from cold, little cold. Okay, so that was question number. Last question we have discussed was question number 4, I guess. Yes, we have solved question number 4. Now question number 5. Mr. Y carries on his own business. An analysis of his trading and P&L account for the year ended 31st March 2025 revealed the following information. The net profit was 11,20,000. The following incomes were credited in the profit and loss account. Income from UTI, interest on debenture, winning from horse race. Okay, it was found that some stock were omitted to be included in both the opening and closing stock, the value of which were opening stock 8,000, closing stock 12,000. 1 lakh was debited to the profit and loss account, being contribution to a university approved and notified under section 35(1)(2). Salary includes 20,000 paid to his brother, which is unreasonable to the extent of 25,000. Advertisement expenditure includes 15 gifts, packets of dry fruits costing 1,000 per packet presented to important customer. Total expenses on car was 78,000, out of which 3/4 of this car has been used for personal purpose. Other information has been given. I just need to see what is the requirement of the question and compute the total income of Mr. Y for the assessment year 25-26 under optional tax regime as per normal provision of the Act. So we just need to calculate tax as per optional tax regime, and we do not need to even calculate tax. The information is asked you to calculate only total income as per optional tax regime. So let's calculate this. The net profit has been given 11,20,000 and some incomes has been included. Net profit, and we are solving it as per optional tax regime. Okay. It is 11,20,000. Income from GTI gross, we need to reduce it. Interest on debenture, 17,500. Winning from horse race, 15,000. Clear? Because these are incomes which has been included into other heads of income. So this is my income from other source, of course. This is also income from other source. This is also income from other source, casual income. Okay. Next is a third point, which says it was found that some stock were omitted to be included in both the opening and closing stock, the value of which were as follows. So we have omitted to include some of the stock. Opening stock we have omitted to include 8,000 and closing stock we have omitted to include 12,000. So can you tell me the impact of these two things on my profit? What should be the treatment of this opening stock into this, and what should be the treatment of closing stock into this? Can you tell me? Please give me your answer. Yash is saying, okay. Yash is saying 8,000 should be reduced and 12,000 should be added back. Okay. Ishan is saying opening decrease profit and closing increase. No, Ishan. I just wanted the treatment. Whether it should be add back or reduce. That you need to tell me. Mohammed Paran is 8,000 reducing and 12,000 add back. Well done. Harshada is saying will increase profit. Both will increase profit, Harshada, or only one of it? Closing stock add, opening stock deduct. Well done. Less opening, add closing. Who is that? Okay, Soumya. Opening add, closing deduct. Opening reduce hoga, Mr. Sunil. So the treatment would be the opening stock is going to reduce your profit because it's a part of your expenses, and this is going to increase your profit. So 8,000 is going to reduce your profit, and this 12,000 is going to increase your profit. Clear? 1 lakh was debited to profit and loss account, being contribution to a university approved and notified under section 35(1)(2). So now what should be the treatment of this point number 4? Do I need to add it back or reduce or something else? What should be the treatment of this point number 4 information? Ishan Bisht is saying no treatment. Yash is saying nothing to be done. Well done. Pooja is saying no treatment. Well done, all of you. Correct, because we are solving this question under optional tax regime. And the question says this is scientific research expenditure. And this 1 lakh has been already debited to the profit and loss account. That means after debiting this 1 lakh rupees, we have arrived at net profit of 11,20,000. So it should have been deducted and it has been deducted. So there is no requirement for doing anything. The treatment has been already done. Salary includes 20,000 paid to his brother, which is unreasonable to the extent of 2,500. So the unreasonable amount is going to be add back. Advertisement expenditure expenses includes 15 gifts, packet of dry fruits costing 1,000 per packet, presented to important customer. No treatment is required because that is a part of your business expenditure like sales promotion activities. Now the total expenses on car was 78,000. The car was used both for business and personal purpose. 3/4 of this car for business purpose. So 1/4, because 3/4 is for business purpose, that means 75% is for business purpose. So out of this, only 25% was for personal purpose. That need to be added back, and that would be 19,500. Miscellaneous expenses include 30,000 paid to A&M Company, a goods transport operator, in cash on 31st January 2025. So, in case of transporter, we can pay 35,000 per day. So, there is no need to disallow anything. Depreciation debit in the books of account was 55,000 and depreciation as per income tax was 50,000. So, we need to add back 55,000 and we need to reduce 50,000 depreciation as per income tax provision. Drawings 10,000, that needs to be disallowed. Investment in NSC, debit in the books. So that should be the part of my deduction 80C, but we claimed it as a business expenditure. So that's need to be added back again. No further information is there. So after doing all this, we would have our business income 11,21,500. We have our income from other source, which has been given in question, was 22,000, 17,500, and winning was 15,000. So that will make my GTI A plus B total would be 11,76,000. There was investment in NSC that is going to be allowed as deduction under section 80C for 15,000 rupees. So the value would be, total income would be 11,61,000 as required by the question. So that would be our answer, 11,61,000 rupees, student. Is it clear? I hope it is clear to all of you. Now moving on further. Okay. Question number 6. It has some effect of setup of losses question also, and we need to calculate the GTI also. It's a very good question. Bala Murugan furnished the following information for the year ended on 31st March 2025. Income from textile business. So that is my PGBP income. Income from house property, of course, income from house property. Lottery winning is my casual income. Then speculation business income is my business income. Income by way of salary computed. That means standard deduction, etc. has been automatically reduced. Okay. Long-term capital gain under section 112 taxable at the rate of 20% is 70,000. So compute his total income and tax liability and advance tax obligation under the default tax regime. So we have to calculate the tax, etc. And you can see the income from PGBP was a loss. Income from house property was also a loss. So this question comprises the set of provision, calculation of course GTI, total income, and the calculation of tax having special rate also in this, and the calculation of advance tax also. फिफ्थ का आंसर 11,61,000 आया है. जी हाँ, बिल्कुल 11,61,000 ही आया है निधि. ओके. So let's solve this question on the separate sheet. So question number 6. And I have told you when there is set of questions is there, always try to solve it in a horizontal form. So in the question we are solving it as per default tax regime under section 115 BAC, and we have given the multiple incomes. So I will segregate those income. The PGBP, then we can write it down, income from house property. Then we can have our salary income. Then we could have our income from other source or capital gain. Fine. In this question, when we have seen that question, there was PGBP, one was speculation business, speculation income that was given in question, positive 1 lakh rupees. And there was a textile business. There was a loss of 1,35,000 rupees. So when you need to apply the set of provision, I have always told you, just write it down the question first. Whatever the information has been given in the question, just try to fill that information in this particular format. Once you will fill that format, you will be able to find out the solution of setting off losses, etc. very easily. Income from house property has been given 15,000. Salary has been given in the question 2,70,000 computed. Lottery winning has been given under income from other source, that is our casual income, 5 lakh rupees. And long-term capital gain, which is chargeable at the rate 20% under section 112, has been given in the question 70,000 rupees. So that was the information of question. Now the first step is intra-head setup. Now I'll ask you a question and you have to tell me whether this setup is possible or not. Can we set off textile business loss against the speculation business income? Yes or no? Anu is saying yes. Ishan is saying yes. Very good. Shagufta is saying yes. Almas is saying yes. Mohammad Farhan is saying yes. Soumya is saying yes. Exactly. The correct answer is yes. Well done, student. Pooja is also saying yes. Very well done. Yes, the speculative loss cannot be set off from speculative income, but speculative income is ready to set off the loss of normal business. So out of this 1,35,000 loss, we can set off our 1 lakh rupees loss of textile business from our speculative. After this, I am remaining with the 35,000 loss of my textile business. There is no intra-head under income from house property because there is no other property. Salary do not have any loss in this example. Income from other source, casual income, and all other are positive income. So after doing intra-head, we have left with loss of textile business 35,000 and income from house property 15,000 loss. Now the second step is inter-head. Now one head loss can transfer to other head. So now can we set off our PGBP losses from the income of salary head? Yes or no? Can PGBP head loss set off from income under the head salary? No is saying Ishan. Well done. Tanu is also saying no. Mohammad Farhan is saying salary. What does that mean, Mohammad Farhan? Soumya is saying no. Almas is saying no. Shagufta is saying no. And Yash is also saying no. Well done. So business head losses cannot be set off from salary income. So this is 35,000. I cannot set off it from salary income. I cannot set it from casual income because from casual income, you cannot set off any kind of loss of any other income. Can I set off this loss from capital gain? From salary head, I cannot do this. From casual income, I cannot do this. Can I set it off against long-term capital gain or not? Yes or no? Can PGBP head loss be set off against long-term capital gain or no? Tanu is saying yes. It can be set off against long-term capital gain. Pooja is saying Almas is saying yes. Nidhi is saying yes. Thank God, Nidhi, you have given the correct answer. Very well done. Shagupta is saying yes. Mohammad Farhan is saying no. Ishan is saying yes. Mohammad Farhan, do we ever read any kind of this provision which says that PGBP losses cannot be set off against capital gain? Capital gain losses cannot be set off from any other head of income, but PGBP losses can be set off against capital gain income. It is allowed. It is definitely allowed. So we can set it off against long-term capital gain. So this 35,000 can be set off against long-term capital gain, and the remaining would be my 35,000 long-term capital gain income. Now the second question. This 15,000 loss of income from house property, can we set it off against salary head of income or not? We can set it off against salary, or we do have the long-term cap gain also. So can we set it off income from house property against salary head of income or capital gain or both or no? What is the correct answer? Ishan is saying cannot set off. Acha. Okay. Pooja is saying under default tax regime. Not very well done, both of you. Correct. Under default tax regime, we cannot. Nidhi is saying income from other source. No, Nidhi. Under default tax regime, we cannot set off income from house property losses to any other head of income. Not allowed. Yes, not allowed. Okay. We are under default tax regime. That's why it's very complicated due to this default tax regime concept and optional tax regime. So you have to remember this cannot be set off. Understood? So my final answer regarding the income would be like this. After this inter head off. Now the final answer, my salary income would be 2,70,000. My income from other source, which is casual income, is now 5 lakh. My long-term capital gain remaining is 35,000 rupees. That's why my GTI is now 8,05,000. No deduction under default tax regime. My total income is 8,05,000. Now, on the basis of this 8,05,000, I have to calculate my tax liability also. So, for the purpose of tax liability, I will divide this income as per tax provision. So, this is 5 lakh. The rate is 30%. Long-term capital gain, it's 35,000. The rate is 20%. And the balance is 2,70,000 as per slab rate. I have to calculate it. So what is the basic exemption limit in case of default tax regime? The basic exemption limit under default tax regime is 3 lakh rupees. So I can utilize this 3 lakh rupees out of my slab rate income. So this becomes nil. The remaining of basic exemption limit out of 3 lakh, we have utilized 2,70,000. So balance 30,000. Can we utilize this 30,000 balance of basic exemption limit balance? Can we utilize it against long-term capital gain, or can we utilize it against casual income, or both? Or the answer is no, we cannot utilize it against anyone. What is the correct answer? Long term is saying Pooja. Ishan is saying no. Okay. Arshada is saying yes, that is the answer of house property case, Arshada. This piece saying, sir, utilize against long-term capital gain, but not against casual income. Almas is saying long-term long-term cap gain. Sahil is saying long-term capital gain. Tanu is saying long-term capital gain. Krishna Shah is saying no. Anyone else? Shagupta is saying no under DTR. Soumya is saying only long term. Yash is saying cannot be utilized. The correct answer is it can be utilized. It can be utilized because you are a resident. If you're a non-resident, then you cannot utilize it against long term. It cannot be utilized against casual ever. But yes, it can be utilized against long-term capital gain. So this has been 30,000. Remaining is 5,000. 5,000 going to be charged at the rate of 20%. So the tax of long-term cap gain would be 1,000 rupees, 5,000 at the rate of 20%. And this is 1,50,000. So total tax would be 1,51,000 rupees. Now, a very interesting thing. Does rebate applicable? No, because my total income was exceeding 7 lakh. You can see the total income was 8,05,000. So rebate cannot be applicable. Rebate not applicable. Surcharge not applicable. 4% cess need to be applicable. That would be 6040. Total would be 157040. Now we are, because the casual income was 5 lakhs. So of course the TDS must have been deducted at the rate of 30% on this. As we assumed in the previous question also, when there was dividend exceeding 10,000 and there was income on units of UTI. So because they were exceeding the limit of TDS, so we have assumed that TDS must have been deducted. In the same way, TDS must have been deducted on 5 lakh rupees of casual income. So 150 would be your TDS, which has been already deducted. 7040 is your tax liability. And because it's less than 10,000, so there is no advance tax requirement. So the question was also asking whether advance tax or what should be the advance tax liability in this case. So the answer would be there would not be any advance tax in these cases. Okay. I hope it's clear. Moving on to question number 7. Before this question, let me share you a small thing, I guess, like not like a story, but I guess it's like a journey of your CA course. I just thought it's just a process. It's just a process you have to follow. Like imagine your journey is just like there's a mountain and you have to climb on it. Just like suppose there's a kind of a temple, like a temple you must have heard of, like Vaishno Devi. So it's too far. You have to walk at least 20 kilometers to reach that point. And when you will reach that point, you will have the blessing of the God. Fine. So just suppose that you all are students and that temple is to become a chartered accountant. So what you just need to do, and there is no, suppose, ropeway, there is no escalators, there are no motor vehicle, there are no horses, etc. You just need to, there's only one option that you have to walk. So your journey is just to walk. Whether you will walk slow or fast, you all will go there and will be there actually. Some of those are more fit than you, whether they are more brilliant, whether they must have more facilities than like you. It does not matter. If you will go by whatever speed, if you are not going backward, you just need to move. You just need to go forward. Whether it's slow or very slow, one day you will be there. And if somebody is reaching there before you, he will get the blessing. He will be chartered accountant. And even if you are going to reach there later than that person, you will be a chartered accountant also. तो अपनी जर्नी में जरूरी क्या है, इस कोर्स में एक ही तरीका है, बस पढ़ते रहो, प्रैक्टिस करो, जितनी ज्यादा प्रैक्टिस कर सकते हो करो. कोई अगर आपसे पहले जाकर सीए बन जाता है, वहां तक पहुंच जाता है, वो भी सीए ही बनकर आएगा. आप थोड़ा लेट पहुंचोगे तो भी आप सीए ही बनकर आओगे. डू नॉट डू दिस कॉम्पिटिशन विद एनीवन एल्स. मे बी अभी रिजल्ट आया है तो मे बी आपके दोस्त पास हो गए हो और आप रह गए. डू नॉट थिंक दैट के आपसे नहीं होगा, एंड आई एम टेलिंग यू ये बिल्कुल होगा, पक्का होगा, बिकॉज एक ही तो तरीका है, यू हैव टू स्टडी। जैसे आपको वहां पहुंचने के लिए, उस टेम्पल पे पहुंचने के लिए वॉक करना है, दिस इज ओनली द वे टू रीच देयर। तो इफ यू आर नॉट लूजिंग योर होप, सिर्फ वही बच्चा सीए नहीं बन पाएगा, या वही बच्चा उस टेम्पल की ब्लेसिंग नहीं ले पाएगा जो वापस बीच में से लौट आएगा, who will think कि मुझसे नहीं होगा। so there is no option of quitting, just believe in yourself। कितना भी स्लो चलोगे, जस्ट फोकस, वट एवर यूर डूइंग, जस्ट डू योर बेस्ट, अपना बेस्ट करो। मे बी आपसे आगे लोग निकल जाएंगे, आपसे पीछे भी लेकिन लोग हैं, जस्ट रिमेंबर दिस। तो जस्ट वॉक, जस्ट स्टडी, जस्ट फोकस। जो अपनी मिस्टेक पिछले अटेम्प्ट में हुई, इवन यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू क्लियर इट, इवन यू मस्ट हैव सम एक्सपीरियंस। देयर वाज अ स्टोरी, एक छोटा बच्चा था, वो एक बीच पर गया, बीच पर, एंड ही सॉ कि उस बीच पर बहुत सारी फिशेस टाइड की वजह से बीच के बाहर आ गई, और बहुत सारी फिशेस जो है वो वहां पर तड़प रही है, बिकॉज वाटर से बाहर आ गई, सी ने उन्हें बाहर फेंका। बहुत सारी, मतलब लाइक थाउजेंड्स। तो वो सबसे कहता है कि चलो इन्हें बचाते हैं, लेट्स हेल्प देम। तो कोई उसकी बात नहीं सुनता, वो बहुत सारे लोग थे, सब वीडियो बना रहे थे, हंस रहे थे। तो उस बच्चे ने एक बकेट लेकर आया, दौड़ कर एक बकेट लेकर आया, उसमें उसने पानी भरा थोड़ा सा सी से, और फिर उसमें फिशेस को एक एक दो दो, जो फिश वो पकड़ पा रहा था उनके लेकर वापस से सी में छोड़कर आता था। तो सब हंसने लगे, उसके फादर आए उसके पास, बोले ऐसा करने से क्या फायदा, विद इन 5 और 10 मिनट्स जितनी भी ये फिशेज हैं ये सारी मर जाएंगी, एंड यू मे बी हार्डली गोइंग टू सेव 5 और 10 फिशेज। देन व्हाट ही रिप्लाइड, ही सेड आई विल एटलीस्ट सेव 5 और 10। सो वो बाकी जो 1000 है उनके लिए मैटर करे ना करे, बट इफ आई एम गोइंग टू सेव 5 और 10, तो उनके लिए तो लाइफ और डेथ की सेविंग है ना। तो इवन आई एम सेविंग 10 और इवन 5, दैट मैटर्स टू फॉर दोज 5 और 10 फिशेस। तो दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग। अगर इफ यू आर गोइंग फॉर बोथ ग्रुप, और आपको एग्जाम तक आते तो लगता है कि बोथ ग्रुप ठीक से नहीं तैयार हो पा रहा, देन फोकस ऑन वन ग्रुप, एक को अच्छी तरह दो। इफ एग्जाम देने जाते हो, फर्स्ट डे पेपर खराब हो जाता है, यू थिंक कि मेरे इसमें 40 भी नहीं आएंगे, स्टिल डोंट लीव दैट एग्जामिनेशन। बाकी जो भी पेपर है उनको पूरी तैयारी से दो, यू नेवर नो, यू विल गेट एन एग्जामिशन। तो प्लीज जितना अपना बेस्ट कर सकते हो वो करो। अगर लास्ट तक पहुंचते पहुंचते लगता है बोथ ग्रुप नहीं, स्टक ऑन वन ग्रुप, अगर आपको कोई पेपर खराब हो जाता है, देन ये बिलीव करो अपने ऊपर दैट यू कैन स्टिल क्रैक इट by achieving 60 marks in any paper. At least you will get an exemption. So do not quit. Let me tell you my experience. I was in final. I have given my first group and my first paper. That at that time there was 4 papers. And the first paper I have done terrible. मतलब my accounts paper was there and I have done terrible mistakes. And when I came back to my home, I was literally crying. I was thinking कि ये 40 भी नहीं आने वाले, इसमें आएंगे ही नहीं, आ ही नहीं सकते, मैं इतना खराब करके आया था पेपर। बट फिर मेरा जो बिग ब्रदर है, इज अ डॉक्टर, ही एडवाइज्ड कि वॉट एवर यू हैव डन कर दिया ना, अभी जो बाकी में हो सकता है ना, मे बी यू कैन गेट एन एग्जामिशन एंड यू नेवर नो इसमें 40 आ जाए। मैंने कहा आ ही नहीं सकते, बट ही मोटिवेटेड मी एंड आई प्रिपेयर्ड माई सेल्फ फॉर 3 रिमेनिंग पेपर्स, एंड मैंने वो पूरी पूरी मेहनत के साथ दिए, एंड गेस व्हाट, आई स्कोर्ड आई गेस 41 इन अकाउंट एंड माई ग्रुप हैज बीन क्लियर्ड इन दैट टाइम। सो वॉट एवर हैज बीन डन, जो भी कर सकते हो, जितना भी कर सकते हो, इवन इफ यू थिंक अभी एग्जाम आने वाले हैं, यू आर नॉट प्रिपेयर्ड, गिव योर बेस्ट शॉट, अपनी पूरी पढ़ाई करो, जिस पेपर को तैयार, जिस ग्रुप को तैयार कर सकते हो, प्लीज डू इट। ओके, डू नॉट क्विट, यू विल बी अ सीए। ओके, फाइन। Sir, can solve this format and exam? Yes, you can solve this format and exam, but you have to write it down, of course. With this format, you have to write it down in detail that we have intra head mein what we have done, under inter head what we have done. Okay. Sir, income tax में MCQ कितने marks का आता है? Shubhanshi, please go for mock test paper. At a last year examination question, you will be able to understand MCQ कितने marks का आता है। देखो ये important नहीं है question कि एमसीक्यू कितने मार्क्स का आता है, डिस्क्रिप्टिव कितने मार्क्स का आता है। इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन ये है कि सब पढ़ना है हमें, वेदर इट्स एमसीक्यू और डिस्क्रिप्टिव, हमें सब कुछ आना चाहिए। ओके, Priyanshi is saying yes sir, no matter that 100 rupees note is new or old, the value remain the same. High five from Wi-Fi Priyanshi, well said. चलो तनु, More the story given in the movie Half CA. Yes, I've seen that series. It was a good series. Okay. So question number 7 is here right now in front of all of you. Mr. Rajiv, age 50-year, a resident individual. 50-year resident individual and practicing chartered accountant, and he has submitted you the receipt and payment. So whenever in a question there is a receipt and payment has been given, if there's an income expenditure and profit and loss, so what we'll do, we take the net profit and we add back the disallowed expenditure and we subtract the disallowed income. That's the basic format. Okay. But if there are receipt and payment, then what we will do, we will draw a new income and expenditure. And when we will draw income and expenditure, we will only consider the allowed income and allowed expenditure. So in the previous two questions, there was income and expenditure has been given of a chartered accountant and a doctor, I guess. So in that format, what we have done, we have followed this format. We have taken the net profit and we have done the subtraction and addition of the disallowed expenditure and income. But if the receipt and payment has been given in the examination or in the question, then you have to draw a new income and expenditure. And the difference is we disallow expenditure, disallowed income in this format. But in this format, we only consider the allowed income and allowed expenditure. And you will see the result is same. If there is a net profit and I am going to disallow or add back the disallowed expenditure and I am going to subtract the disallowed income. So whatever will remain, what it is the sum of allowed incomes and allowed expense. This is what it is. So whatever we are finding out by applying this concept, what we are doing from the net profit, I am just removing disallowed expenditure and disallowed income. So what is the remaining result? The remaining result is allowed income, allowed expenditure. But when there are receipt and payment, we only consider what? Allowed expenditure, allowed income. So the result would be automatically the same. Understood? Then why we are applying this format? Why? Because in case of receipt and payment, there are multiple informations in this receipt and payment. Capital expenditure as well as revenue expenditure, everything has been included in receipt and payment. So if we use under receipt and payment this format, so that would be a huge calculation because I have to add back all the capital expenditure, need to reduce all capital receipt and then business PGBP plus minus. So that would be a huge calculation. So in case of receipt and payment, this is easy. We only consider our business income, which is connected to my revenue expenditure. Understood? So that's why when there is a receipt and payment, kindly follow this format always. So we will consider only the allowed income and allowed expenditure. So you will see, we will draw this on a separate sheet. Shubhanshi is asking, sir, Saransh ko prefer kar sakte hain? Look, Saransh is just a, I can say, a format in which all the provisions has been summarized in diagrammatical provision, in some chart presentation, etc. So that is useful for revision purpose, but ultimately you have to learn all the provision. And I guess for that purpose, Saransh is not enough. You have to go through with your study. Saransh is just for your like short notes, etc. So if you want to revise something, so that is really helpful. But for the purpose of full knowledge, of course, you have to go through with the studies concept. Okay. So in the separate sheet, we are going to draw this. Now we are making income and expenditure. That is for question number 7. So we are considering incomes. The income is fees that has been given in question 5938,000. Then What was the requirement of question? I didn't read yet. So the question requirement is compute the total income of Mr. Rajiv for assessment year 25-26, assuming that he has shifted out of the default tax regime under section 115 BAC. So we have to calculate only total income. And he is, of course, following the cash system of accounting. That's why he is under receipt and payment method. So we just need to calculate the total income under the optional tax regime. So you can see we will just consider the income which is allowed. And from the information, the opening cash balance, no, this is we are going to take for the purpose of calculation of my business income. Fees from professional services. We will consider as an expenditure, salary, staff, etc. Administrative is also part of my business expenditure. Office rent is my business expenditure. Housing loan repaid? No, that would be for deduction 80C. Life insurance premium 80C. Motor car acquired. So this would not be considered, but the depreciation of this need to be taken. Medical insurance premium deduction part 80D. We will not take it under a PGBP. Books bought on 1st July. So books are my kind of plant and machinery in case of a professional business. So not going to be the part of my PGBP, but depreciation we need to take. The same in case of computer. We will take the depreciation. We will not consider the computer value in this. Domestic drawings, of course, not the part of my business expenditure. Public Provident Fund subscription, not the part of my business expenditure, deduction part, 80C. Motor car maintenance, yes, that could be the part of my business expenditure. Closing balance does not have any impact on my business expenditure. Now the relevant information has been given as an additional information. He occupies 50% of the building for own residence and let out the balance for residential use at a monthly rent of 5,000. The building was constructed during the year 97-98 when the housing loan was taken. So because the loan has been taken before 1st April 1999, so is there any impact? Yes, the maximum deduction of interest you can claim is 30,000 rupees if that is self-occupied part. So you can see the building is having two parts. One is self-occupied, one is let out. So for the purpose of self-occupied, because this has been taken before 1st April 1999, so the limit of interest would be maximum 30,000 rupees. Okay, we will solve it in case of income from house property. Motor car was first put to use for both official and personal. 1/5 of the car has been used for personal purpose. So that means 1/5 is not going to be the part of my business expenditure, whether it's depreciation or car repair, etc. Only 4/5 is going to be the part of my business expenditure. No car loan interest was paid during the year. Other asset value has been given for the purpose of depreciation. So after all this information, now we are going to solve this question. A separate sheet. Tanu is asking for revision, your notes is sufficient. Tanu, these notes comprise, I guess, everything from your study material. So if you go through with the notes of TDS or basic concept or residential or even this chapter or return filing, I did not do anything. I have just taken all the study material and I have been copied it. So it's same thing whether you go for the notes, etc. But you should go for study material also. सर केस सिनेरियो को यूज कर सकते हैं प्रैक्टिकल प्रैक्टिस के लिए. Yes, of course you can use. We are in the revision classes. We are also taking the revision classes. We have conducted our first revision class on 9th of July. In the revision classes, we are discussing case scenario, of course. There are, I guess, 24, 25 case scenario has been uploaded by the institute. So we are solving those. Arshada is saying, but your charts are really helpful, sir. Thank you. You're welcome. So of course, charts give you a clear view of the provision. If you want to understand the provision, charts are really helpful, whether it's surcharge chart, whether it's residential status chart, like if you want to revise the residential status provision, and if you go through with the chart, so all the provision you can recall instantly if you're going through with the help of chart, whether it's for capital gain rates, whether it's for a set of provision charts. So that is really helpful. And I believe if you want to revise those provision quickly, so charts are really helpful. स्टडी मटेरियल में निधि कह रही है 2005-6 दिया है, वो पुराना स्टडी मटेरियल है, जो नई वाली स्टडी मटेरियल आई है निधि, उसमें ये ईयर को चेंज कर दिया है, 97-98 कर दिया है। ओके, आप अपने स्टडी में 97-98 कर लीजिए। चलो भाई, फीस was 59,38,000. Now the allowable expenditure salary was given in that question, so that was 21,50,000. Administrative expenditure was there, 11,48,000. Rent was 30,000. Books depreciation, it was more than 180 days, so books depreciation rate is 40%, that would be 8,000 rupees. Computer, less than 180 days, so depreciation rate was 40, but we'll apply the 50% of it, that would be 6,000. Car depreciation, so car was 4,25,000, less than 180 days, so rate would be 7.5%, and it has been used 1/5 for personal purpose. So we will take only the 4/5 part of the depreciation, that would be 25,500. Car maintenance expenditure also 10,000, and we are going to include only 4/5 of it, that would be 8,000 rupees. So if any asset has been used for the purpose of personal purpose, then the expenditure related to that asset, all expenditure, whether it's repair, maintenance, depreciation, needs to be included only for that part which has been used for business purpose. Furniture depreciation, it was 60,000. The rate is 10%. So 6,000 would be my furniture depreciation. Plant and machinery WDV was given 80,000, 15%. 12,000, and computer WDV also given 50,000 separately. On that it would be 40%, that would be 20,000. So after all these expenditure and income, my net profit would be 2524,500. Now income from house property. And as we discussed, there is two parts of house. One is self-occupied and the other are let out. The total interest has been paid was 88,000. In the question, if you will go through, you will see the information regarding the house property interest has been given over here. Housing loan repaid 1,88,000. So out of this 1,88,000, 88,000 was interest. It has been given in the question. So 1 lakh is going to be the principal amount. This is going to be claimed under section 80C, and this is under income from house property. So we are doing the treatment of 88,000 under income from house property. Now for the purpose of self-occupied property, that would be nil. Only interest can be claimed, 44,000, 50% part. But the maximum we can claim is 30,000 because the loan has been taken before 1/4/1999. So the loss would be 30,000. For the let out property, the rental value was 60,000, out of which 30% reduction, 18,000. Remaining is 42,000, and the interest value 44,000. In case of let out, we can deduct the whole amount of interest. So the net loss would be 2,000. Total house property loss would be 32,000 rupees. Now, can we set off losses from house property from PGBP? Yes or no? Set off is allowed or not allowed? Nidhi is saying no. Why, Nidhi? Why no? कहाँ पढ़ा है हमने आपको? Miss P is saying yes, sir, maximum 2 lakh. Well done. Ishan is saying yes, allowed. Shagupta is saying yes. Harshada is saying yes, as it's optional regime. Well done. Tanu is saying yes. So, of course, the correct answer is yes, we can set it off. So, technically, after this, my GTI would be 2492500. Now, the deduction part. 80C house loan repayment. I have shown you that that was 1,88,000, out of which we have claimed 88,000 as interest, and 1 lakh could be claimed as repayment of housing loan. The life insurance policy was premium was 24,000. PPF is 20,000 and 80D was 18,000 medical insurance premium. So after this, my total income would be 2330,500. That is going to be my total income. Clear? So before solving the question, what we need to do, we need to understand the question. You are seeing when I am reading a question, I am underlining those points, those I feel going to be relevant for solution. As soon as I saw the age, I have write it down. As soon as I have seen the resolution status, I have marked it. Because in this question, there is no requirement of tax calculation. Otherwise, these things could be relevant for me. As soon as the question says receipt and payment, I have marked it down. So before solving the question, you have to understand the question. Just try, do not fear of the question. Whenever you are reading a question, most of the students are thinking about the solution, how we are going to solve it. Don't do this. First of all, understand the question. Okay, this is the question. The question asks us this requirement of the question. We are having this much information. What informations are relevant? How do we need to apply those information for the purpose of my solution? And these all question, whatever we are solving from question number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, these are the kind of question which has been asked in the examination. This is the kind of question that is going to be a compulsory question, question number 1. And when we are solving, are you feeling that these questions are that difficult? Even when you have not revised all the provision, like for examination purpose, you have just gone through with some provision. And I am not solving these questions. These questions are not easy. These are the actual question which has been asked earlier in the examination. And do you feel that these kind of compulsory questions are difficult? Then how it's possible that I am able to solve it with you? I am not doing anything else. I am just reading the question. I am just trying to make you aware, first of all, that understand your question, understand the problem first. What happened when we are in the examination hall and we are very nervous? We just try to solve the paper. We do not try to understand the paper first. So if you understand the question first, then let me tell you, you won't be nervous anymore. You are not going to be nervous anymore. So please try to understand question firstly. Now you can see question number 8. It is a question for calculation of your total income and tax. And this is the major part of this belongs to your salary income. Okay, let's see how to solve this kind of question. Now, understanding is like this. Dekho. From the following details, compute the total income. So what the question is asking us to solve, they are asking us to calculate the total income. Okay, we will find out the total income. What's big deal? And tax liability. of Siddhant, age 31 year, of Delhi, both as per section 115 BAC and as per regular provision of the Income Tax Act 1961 for assessment year 25-26. Advise Mr. Siddhant whether he should opt for section 115 BAC or not. This is the question. Now, salary information has been given or any other requirement of the question. This salary information has been given in the question. Now we are going to solve it. First of all, we need to read it. Salary includes dearness allowance, 4,35,000. Bonus, salary of servant provided by the employer, rent paid by Siddhant for his accommodations, bills paid by the employer for gas, electricity and water provided free of cost at the above flat. Okay. Siddhant purchased a flat in a cooperative housing society in Delhi for 4,75,000 in April 2016, which was financed by a loan from Life Insurance Corporation of India, 1,60,000 at 15% interest. His own saving was 65,000 and a deposit from a nationalized bank of 250, to whom this flat was given on lease for 10 years. The rent payable by the bank was 3,500 rupees per month. The following particulars are relevant. So he purchased the flat in a society which he has let it out to a bank, and he is receiving 3,500 rupees rent from that bank. So this is non-income from house property. And for that, he has taken a loan. So that loan is going to be deducted when we will calculate income from house property. Municipal tax has been given in the question. House insurance not relevant. No treatment of house insurance under income from house property. He earned 2,700 in share speculation business and lost 4,200 in cotton speculation business. Okay. In the year 21-22, he had gifted 30,000 to his wife. So you can see this is for set of the above information for salary income. This is for house property. This is for set of provision, PGBP and set of. Now this is 30,000 to his wife and 20,000 to his son, who was aged 11 years. The gifted amounts were advanced to Mr. Rajesh, who was paying interest 19% per annum. So the assessee gifted this amount of 30,000 and 20,000 to his wife and his minor child. And they have transferred this amount to Mr. Rajesh, who is paying 19% interest on this amount to the wife of assessee and to the minor son of assessee. So what do you think? Why this information has been given? What is the relevance of point number D? For which provision going to be applicable on point number D? So when you in examination, you will read this, na? You start getting nervous. Oh my God, this provision also there. Okay, I have to solve set off also. Okay, this question also including income from house property. Okay, this question also is including clubbing concept. So why to be scared of? Just be confident. If you have learned properly, if you have prepared well, if you have planned your examination, if you have given mock tests, etc., let me tell you, these questions are not going to bother you. And the institute has done spectacular work. You can see they have done the wonderful work. They have provided you MTP, RTP, almost 25 case scenario also they have launched. So if you will solve all these kind of questions, case scenario, etc., so that will make your practice so strong that in the examination you won't be nervous at all. This is clubbing, okay? Now gift received from 4 friends, 30,000 each, income from other source. Contributed 50,000 to public provident fund, 8 TC deduction. This is the question. Now this is called the understanding of question, that I have marked, okay, this question is having this part, this much part. This is house property, this is salary, this is set off, this is clubbing, this is income from other source, this is ATC. And when I am going to solve the salary concept, why should I be bothered about income from house property or set of provision? First of all, we have to solve one part, then the other part, then the other part, then deduction, etc. So if you'll follow this kind of strategy, that will cool down your nervousness in the examination. And that is very, very important. It happens. When you're nervous, you are going to solve or you're going to do silly mistakes in the examination. Yes, Ashada, it was for clubbing. Shagupta is asking, sir, why you take half amount of 88,000? Shagupta, in that question, there was a house property. 50% of it was self-occupied. And 50% of that house property part was let out. So for self-occupied purpose, we have to take the 44,000 interest, out of which 30,000 allowed. And for let out also, we have to part the 50% interest over there. Okay. Clubbing, yes, Mr. P. And clubbing, Sahil was also right. So let's solve this question one by one on a separate sheet. Question number 8. The default taxes. We have to calculate tax under both regimes. So salary was in the question. Bonus was there. 15,000. Then 12,000. Salary of obligation employee met by employers. That is bill 11,000. So total gross salary is 4,73,000. Standard deduction 75,000. That would be 3,98,000. Salary part solved. Now we are moving on to income from house property part. For income from house property, the rent was 3,500 rupees per month. So for the full year, it would be 42,000 rupees. That would be my GAV less municipal taxes has been given in question, paid by the owner has been reduced 4,300. So that would be my value 37,700. Standard deduction 30%, 11,310. And the interest, for the purpose of that, you must remember the question says 1,60,000 loan has been taken at the rate of 15%. So the interest was 24,000. After reducing interest, my income from house property would be 2,390. That would be B. Now my PGBP income. So there are two speculative business. Speculative business 1, in which there was profit of 2,700. Speculative business number 2, in which there was a loss of 4,200. So it can be set off. Yes, speculative business loss could be set off against speculative business income. So the net effect would be 1,500 rupees loss. And this is going to be carry forward because this cannot be set off from any other head of income. That is my C part. Now income from other source. In the question, the clubbing provision says the wife amount was 30,000. He paid it, on which Mr. Rajesh, to whom wife lent this amount as a loan, he was paying 19% interest. So the wife amount of interest which is going to be clubbed is 5,700. This is going to be the club in the hands of assessee. And the minor child, we have let it out 20,000 rupees at 19%. So that is 3,800 rupees. This is going to be clubbed. So is there any other special treatment out of this 3,800 rupees we need to do? In this question, in case of minor child clubbing, is there any other important treatment which is need to be done out of this 3,800 rupees income or not? Ishan is saying no. Okay. Anyone else is having another opinion regarding the treatment out of this 3,800 rupees in this question of clubbing income of minor child? Tanu is saying 1,500 if optional tax regime. Very well done. Very good, Arshada. I was expecting someone at least will say me, yes, sir, there would be an exemption under section 1032, but nobody said this. Well done. Yes, there could be exemption of 1,500 rupees, but because under default tax regime, section 1032 exemption cannot be claimed. So this will remain same value. Very well done. So that will be 12,000 rupees. Second. Gift value was 1,20,000. He received 30,000 each from his 4 friends. So the total value would be 1,29,500. That would be income from other source. So if we calculate our GTI, in which there would be A plus B plus D, because C is the loss which is going to be carry forward. So the GTI would be 5,29,809. No deduction applicable under section 80C to 80U. So this is going to be my total income, 529,890. On the basis of this income, if we calculate our tax under default tax regime, it would be 11,495. But up to 7 lakh, there is a rebate which is maximum up to 25,000 or the amount of tax whichever is lower. So the rebate would be there 11,495. So tax liability under default tax regime would be nil. Now we have to solve the income and the tax as per optional tax regime. So as per optional tax regime, we will take the TI as per default tax regime, which has been given 529,890, in which we will adjust our standard deduction. In default tax regime, it is 75,000. In our tax regime, optional tax regime, it is only 50,000. So 25,000 need to be increased due to the effect of this. Then we can claim a clubbing exemption. In case of default tax regime, section 1032 exemption can be claimed. 1,500 rupees. Now the GTI would be this. 5,3,390. There was an investment in PPF under section 80C. That was 50,000. So my TI would be in this case 5,03,390. On the basis of this, if you will calculate tax, including 4% cess, that would come 313,705. You need to round it off. Round it off, it will be 13,710. This would be taxed as per optional tax regime. So which is beneficial? Of course, the default tax regime is beneficial. Is there any provision in the solution you think you did not know about this? Whether it's salary we have solved, whether it's house property we solved, whether it's PGBP set off, whether it's clubbing concept, any provision you felt that I didn't knew this provision, I didn't knew this treatment, was it there? Harshada is saying, sir, is there any sequence of income head we need to follow while solving such problem? Yes, the way it has been given in the study material, that first of all, you need to solve salary, then house property, then PGBP, capital gain, other source. If you go with this flow, that would be really beneficial to you. Ishan, no, sir, not in this question. Not in any question, if you see whatever we are solving, those are the provision. We just need to do one thing very focusedly in the examination. Whenever you read any problem, any question, you have to think about the provision first. If you're able to connect with the provision, in most of the cases, you will be able to solve the question properly. Yes, 1500 under optional scheme, Shagupta, correct. Nothing to do, sir, as tax under DTR, correct. Clear? So the remaining questions like question number 9, question number 10 and 11, and I guess there are up to 12 questions are there. So please try those questions yourself. If there is any issue, we would have a revision class also. My revision class would be on 23rd of July, then 28th of July, and then on 30th of July. So you can ask me any query on those classes also. Anyone wants to ask anything? Sahil is asking something. If we break the order of heads, there will any loss of marks? In my opinion, that should not be the case of loss of marks. Baki, you can ask to the BOS, you can send a mail regarding that, but I don't think there should be any deduction of marks in case of change of order. Anything else, students? Look, when I was preparing for examination, let me share you one thing. It happens, sometime we feel like broken down, sometime we feel like depressed, sometime we are struggling with ourselves, with multiple problem that could be personal, that could be financial, that could be family problem, etc. It happens with everyone. But always remember, when I felt that मुझे लगता था कि मुझसे नहीं होगा, it's very difficult, might be मैं नहीं कर पाऊंगा, तो मैंने एक पोइट्री बनाई थी उस टाइम, बहुत छोटी सी, एक कहीं से दो लाइन ली थी और कहीं से अपनी दो लाइन ऐड की थी. एंड आई ऑलवेज sing that poetry, or it's a kind of a chanting for me. I would like to share it with you, and it really helps me a lot. And you can see this was the poetry, and it really touched me very strongly. Whenever I remind of this thing, I always believe, yes, there was time when I was really struggling. But if you're struggling, try to read these lines, and it says, it's दिल की धड़कन कहती है उम्मीद अभी भी बाकी है, ये रात कभी तो गुजरेगी, वो सुबह कभी तो आएगी. ये तो कहीं से लिया हुआ था, बट नीचे वाला लाइन मैंने खुद बनाया था. एक दिन ऐसा भी आएगा, एग्जाम का टेंशन उड़ जाएगा, और एक दिन ऐसा ही आएगा, रिमेम्बर, एक दिन ऐसा ही आएगा, मेरे नाम में सीए जुड़ जाए. सो प्लीज, if you are feeling depressed, you are struggling with yourself, anything, just trust one thing. If you'll do your best, things would be in your favor. And one day will come when you will be a chartered accountant. If you are not going to leave CA, CA is not going to leave you. That is, remember this thing. This is the course for you. You have to be a CA. अब सबके नाम के आगे एक दिन चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट लगा होगा, वेदर इट्स शगुफ्ता, तो शी वुड बी शगुफ्ता परवीन, सीए शगुफ्ता, सीए साहिल, सीए यश, सीए सौम्या, सीए प्रियांशी, सीए हर्षदा, you all, सीए ईशान, etc. So you will be a chartered accountant later or sooner. You have to just work hard, be constant, be focused, be disciplined. वो सबसे important है. Everything is done, sir. Thank you so much for supporting us. Teaching is it's mind blowing. Thank you, Sagupta. Thank you so much. Sahil, yes, sir, definitely. आप सब लोग CA बनोगे. Sir, you are also a poet. So yeah, I'm not a poet, but at times teach you a lot of things. I want to be a storyteller actually. सर सबसे पहले जो क्वेश्चन पढ़ने के बाद लगता है कि मुझे कुछ नहीं आ रहा, क्वेश्चन पढ़ने के बाद इफ यू फील कुछ नहीं आ रहा ना, तो उसका दो रीजन है. इधर तो यू आर नर्वस और देयर इज सम प्रिपरेशन लैक. सो यू हैव टू फाइंड आउट योर वीकनेस. एंड मैं एक ही बात पे बिलीव करता हूं, इफ यू प्रैक्टिस मोर, maybe you are thinking sir saying the same thing, but let me tell you, this is the only solution. If you practice more, if you are going to solve 100 question, 50 question, 100 question, your this fear of kuch nahi aa raha, that would end. And if it is due to nervousness, then try to read the question, just mark the question, just find it out that उस क्वेश्चन में क्या क्या अच्छी तरह से आता है, उस वाले पार्ट को पहले करना. जैसे if you think in a total income question, salary part you know how to solve, or house property part you know how to solve. So solve the house property income first. It will boost your confidence. It will cool down your nervousness. It happens. Science say it happens. When you gain that confidence that yes, I have solved the house property part, I have solved the income from other source part, I have solved the salary part, then I'll move on to the difficult part to solve. It would happen. Don't worry, it would happen. It would happen with everyone. Harshada is saying, thank you, sir, for motivational work. You're welcome. Yes, presumptive should be calculated only if asked in question. If it is not asked in question, then just try to ignore it, okay? Skip that. Thank you. I guess there is a... Sir, after seeing that 12% and 14%, I was completely feeling nervous. I have to be among 12 out of 100, sir, feeling completely pressurized. I have told you that the only way to come out of this pressure is just do practice as much as you can. This piece saying, sir, for these sums, say in PGBP, when we allow or disallow any expenditure, just one line simple explanation about the relevant provisions enough. Yes, the one line is enough for the explanation purpose. You do not need to write it down the complete section. That is not the requirement of solution also, because that will kill all of your time in a single question. You have to do the time management, okay?
Yes, sir. For that, for reasoning, if some expenditure is disallowed or allowed, you have to just write in the bracket the transaction, what is there, the adjustment, you have to give in the bracket only disallowed, since this is the reason, allowed since this is the reason. You don't need to write the provision first, then apply in the present case. You don't need to write all of such things. Just like suppose in case of payment made in cash exceeding 10,000, simple disallowed since the payment made to so person exceeds 10,000 in a cash. That's it. Only so much reasoning is required. But reasoning is very important, student. If you have do the right adjustment, you have added back or reduced, and it is correct as per the provision, but you have not substantiated why you have done so, then you will definitely lose marks for that. Even your answer is same. So reason is very much important. Any other query, students?
मैम ये ईशान की एक क्वेरी है, ये थोड़ा सा आप देखिए. ईशान काइंडली एक्चुअली ही इज आस्किंग दैट इफ प्रोफेशनल इन अ क्वेश्चन इफ वी नीड टू कैलकुलेट द मोस्ट बेनिफिशियल टैक्स, so do we need to apply 44 AD or 44 ADA also for the purpose of that,
yes,
if the
yes,
condition has been fulfilled?
Yes, yes. So student, you have to see the limits. If the crossing, if the assessee is crossing the limit, the threshold for gross receipt or turnover, then definitely 44 AD or ADA will not be applicable. But if the turnover or the gross receipt in case of profession, if it is within the permissible limit that he is eligible for the presumptive provision, then you have to check with the presumptive also whether which is beneficial for the assessee. It will not directly ask in the question to check the presumptive provision. You have to see if the gross receipts or turnover is within the permissible limit for the presumptive taxation. So you have to apply that provision also.
Clear, student, this was the very important query which you have been asked, and ma'am has clarified you. So please remember this in examination purpose, because whatever question we have solved today, in which you can see the professional cases, the receipt amount was more than 50 lakh rupees.
Yes.
That's why we did not apply section 44 ADA in that
ADA.
case.
Any other query, student, regarding your paper pattern, how to solve journal query or some technical query? Because student, this is the last session of the revisionary classes, but definitely we are there to help you, but you have to do the practice. This is what sir can do, what we can do, but ultimately practice and practice you have to do to clear in the examination. Revisionary classes are also there. If some after these classes also, if you found any provision difficult or you found any problem in any of the question or any of the adjustment, you can ask in the revisionary classes also. That is that is not the problem. Revisionary is there, success at CA exam will be there after MTP. Then because you have the time to practice, in case of practice only, na, you will able to come ki, yeah, what is the problem you are facing. Because abhi sir is teaching, so you are understanding the provision. When you do the self revision afterward, there might be the case that you find it difficult to digest why it is so, why it is not disallowed, or what is the provision. So maybe that time you need the clarity. For that, you can ask in the revisionary lecture.
Then there was one more query of a student. He was asking that in a question of computation of total income, if various heads of income has been given like salary, capital gain, PGBP, so do we need to follow that order that first
Yes.
of all we have to calculate salary, then
Yes,
house
sir.
property? This is need to be done?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because sequence has to be followed for these 5 heads of income. In the question, when you see the question, a student, just as sir told, just see from which head it pertains. It is impacting salary, house property, PGBP, or which head. Then accordingly, while do the adjustment, if you feel so, like said sir, sir said ki you feel PGBP you can do first, or house property you can do that, or otherwise, suppose salary is not there in the question, so don't write salary, you don't need to mention that. House property is there, but the adjustment is last. So you just keep the heading income from house property, just leave a sufficient space, then start PGBP. Similarly for capital gain and other sources. But that should be in a sequence only, sir, students. And the nervousness also, students, what happened generally, because definitely regarding practice, there are so much questions available in the study material, illustration, questions, model test paper, then 2 series of mock tests will also come. RTP, you can refer May 25 RTP, September 25 RTP, then case scenario booklet is also there. But student, in the examination, it is not necessary that the question will be the similar of the question which you have studied in this material publication. Definitely, it's not like the same question will be repeated. There's a very less chance. But more or less adjustment will be the same because provision is same. But what happened when we see in the question paper now, because we don't find the questions familiar, so we get nervous. So you don't need to be nervous. Just when you just read the question paper, you get that 15 minutes time for reading the question paper. Before reading, just take a deep breath and then start reading the question paper. Control your breath that you don't get nervous, and don't overexcited also while seeing the question. Because sometimes the question may be familiar, so you find it ki, oh, it's very easy, I know this because sir has taken in the class, or that is there, I've studied in the study material. But maybe they have changed a little bit or put some new adjustment or tricky one. So that you may miss because you thought ki, I am confident because I have done so. So don't get overexcited, plus don't get nervous also. Soumya is asking, ma'am, can we attend the first compulsory descriptive question at the end? Yes, Soumya. See, in the question paper for descriptive, first question is the compulsory, then in the remaining 3 questions, you have to attempt any 2. So for that, you can attempt second question or third question or first question in which you are more feel comfortable, you know ki, I know this question very well. Just attempt that question first. Because in that case, the confidence level, you will get the confidence to do your complete your paper. If you touch the first question in the starting and you are not so much confident in some of the adjustments, so what will happen now? You unnecessarily just get nervous or just underconfident ki, how my paper will not go good because I don't know the provision or I don't did the adjustment right. So in whatever the question you are more comfortable with, do that question first, but the subparts of the question you have to do in a continuation. Like suppose in second question there are two parts, 2A and 2B. So for that 2A and 2B you have to do in a continuation. Then start the another question, 3 or 4 or 1, whatever you want to do. If you don't know the second part, the second B part, just leave the space for B part or C part, whatever parts are there, and then leave that space, leave the page, and then do the next question. Any other query, students?
I guess no more query at my part also, ma'am.
So in mine also.
So we can conclude the session now.
Yes, sir.
Ashok sir, can we conclude the session? Yes.
Yes.
Good night, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, students.